I was looking forward to the day when Lloyd Simmons proposed to me with great joy. However, Lloyd put away the engagement ring and gave it to my nanny's daughter as a birthday present. He said I wasn't his girlfriend at all and we had never officially been dating. But we are clearly doing what a couple should do. He took back all the kindness he had shown me and gave it all to the nanny's daughter. I suddenly realized that love can be taken back. Then I will take back my love for him. They're just childhood sweethearts. Who doesn't have a backup option? 1. I heard from Lloyd's friends that Lloyd bought a ring and was going to propose to me at my birthday party today. But until the end of the birthday, Lloyd didn't move. I almost finished the 3-layer cake by myself, but there was no sign of the ring. My mom was shocked to see that I had finished the cake. Baby, you are really hungry. Burp, I'm a little hungry. Burp. I continued eating while burping. My mother looked at me with doubt and shock, as if she had just discovered that her daughter might be mentally retarded. It wasn't until I took the last bite of cake that I was sure there was no ring. And I didn't see much of Lloyd the whole night. I really couldn't eat anymore, so I went outside for a walk to help digest the food. Saw Lloyd and Jean Sanchez talking and laughing. Lloyd said, "You hate watermelon? I hate pumpkin. See, we have the same hobby." Jean is the daughter of our nanny. She moved into my house because the nanny saved my father's life. In order to repay the nanny, the father brought her only daughter home. Lloyd finished and Jean chuckled. "Brother, you are so humorous, hey?" She covered her mouth and dared not laugh out loud, for fear of leaving a bad impression on Lloyd. "The birthday party is over, brother. Why don't you go back and spend some time with Sister Betty Foster? Today is her birthday. She has so many people to accompany her. She doesn't need me alone. But you, today is your birthday too. Why didn't you say anything?" "Wait for me," Lloyd said and ran away. He didn't notice me standing in the dark at all. Instead, Jean saw it and gave me a weird smile, with a hint of provocation and complacency. Lloyd ran back to the living room, got a plate, grabbed a handful of the remaining cake I had eaten, put a candle on it and then hurried back to Jean. It was such a big cake, and I don't know who ate it all. There's only a little left. Don't be disgusted, since I bought the cake anyway. He lit the candle. "Close your eyes, make a wish and blow it out." Jean closed her eyes and clasped her hands together, making a wish. "I hope that Lloyd can be as happy and cheerful as he is today every day." As she said this, she blew out the candle. Lloyd was touched and knocked her on the head. "You little idiot, why are you making a wish for me on your birthday?" Jean groaned and shrank her head. "That's what I want. My brother and I hit it off right away. No one has ever celebrated my birthday since I was little, and I've never had a birthday cake. I know my brother won't celebrate my birthday in the future, so my wish is to make my brother happy like this every day." Lloyd's eyes moistened as he looked at the girl in front of him with heartache and pity. "Close your eyes again, idiot. Stretch out your hand." Lloyd took a ring from his pocket and put it on Jean's hand. Jean opened her eyes and exclaimed, "Is this an engagement ring?" "No, brother. This is just an ordinary ring. Consider it a birthday present for you. But this belongs to Betty. If you give it to me, she will be mad." "Nonsense, a gift belongs to whoever it is given to. I haven't even given it away yet, so how can it be hers? It's really inappropriate. You are Betty's sister's boyfriend. I can't accept this ring. This is not right." Jean went to take off the ring. "Who said I was Betty's boyfriend? We've never been officially dating. Those were all rumors. Keep the ring. This is the first time I'm giving you a gift. You can't refuse." 2. Lloyd and I grew up together, going to and from school together every day. Let's go out and play together during the holidays. Watch movies and eat together. Lloyd said I like to eat watermelon and he likes to eat sweet potato. We have the same hobbies. But it is true that he never took the initiative to say, "Let's date." We naturally did what couples do. Even our parents agreed and let us get married after we graduate. Lloyd's friends and even classmates all call me sister-in-law. I thought we were officially dating. Turns out it was all wishful thinking on my part. Lloyd didn't even say hello to me when he left, and only remembered to send me a message when he got home. "Happy birthday, Betty. There were so many friends here today that I didn't pay attention to you. Don't be angry." As he said that, he transferred me a red envelope of $131,452.0. Lloyd's family background is similar to ours. Our normal pocket money is several $100,000 every month. This red envelope is just his pocket money for a few days. I didn't click it nor did I return it. The next morning I had no appetite for breakfast. I guess I haven't digested all the cake from yesterday. Dad asked me to take Jean to school. They said they had already arranged for her to be in the same class with me. I was admitted to our school by myself, but Jean was able to get in because his father donated a building to the school. Dad said, "Jean's mom saved my life. A building is nothing." Yes, just a building is insignificant compared to my father's life. I usually go to school in Lloyd's car. When we went out today, Jean was already sitting in the passenger seat next to Lloyd. Jean looked at me in shock. "Ah, Betty, are you also going to school with your brother? I thought you were sent by the family driver." "I'll be right down." Lloyd quickly held her back and said, "Don't get off. Don't you get carsick? Sit here." "Betty, you don't get carsick. Give way to Jean and sit in the back seat." I closed the door and said, "No need for you to send me off. I can go to school by myself." Jean quickly pushed the door and got off the bus. "No, Betty, it's all my fault. I sat in your seat before I knew the situation. I'll just take the bus. Hurry up and get on the bus." Seeing this, Lloyd also got out of the car and went to the passenger seat. He forcefully pushed Jean into the car. Then she glared at me and said, "Betty, why are you bullying her like this? She just sat in the front passenger seat. What a big deal. Did the back seat squeeze you? Your butt is so precious you can't sit there. Which eye of yours saw me bullying her? If I don't ride in your car, I'm bullying her? Your car has gold trim? Do I have to ride in your car? You are unreasonable." Lloyd got in the car and took Jean away directly. I saw a smug smile on Jean's face in the rearview mirror. I was planning on going home and getting a car. Although I have a driver's license, I never had the opportunity to drive since I was a child because Lloyd was always there for me. Beep, beep, beep. A red convertible sports car stopped in front of me. "Miss Foster, why are you so alone today? It's pitiful." My arch-nemesis, Gene Sanchez. My dislike for him and my liking for Lloyd are two extremes. It just so happens that he is richer than our two families combined. After being kicked out of the car by Lloyd, he was confronted by his archenemy. I don't know whether he felt sad or humiliated. I stared at him and tears came out uncontrollably. "Why are you crying?" I was just kidding. Don't cry, don't cry. I'll give you my breakfast." He quickly got out of the car to coax me. He also gave me a bag of buns. My mom made it herself. It's so delicious that I can't bear to eat it myself. I didn't have breakfast, so I'm a little hungry now. "Get in my car. You can sit in the passenger seat. No one can take it away." He opened the car door, pushed me into the passenger seat, and fastened my seatbelt. I ate the buns while crying. When I looked up, I saw his handsome face close to me. The breath sprayed on my face so freely. He was stunned for a moment, then stood up. "Little crybaby, why are you so fond of crying since you were little? Leave a bun for me. My mom only comes home once every 6 months and she only makes this bun for me." Jean's mother is a strong woman who flies away all year round. Jean's father is a gigolo and he even had an illegitimate child. Her mother immediately kicked her father out of the house, so he has been alone since he was a child. Every time I went out with Lloyd and my parents, I would see Jean squatting in the yard playing with robots. Lloyd said he was a wild child without a father or a scold. Jean heard it and beat Lloyd up. I saw Lloyd getting beaten up and rushed over to help, and then Jean beat me up as well. I still remember that meal. He fought so hard that Lloyd lost 2 teeth and I was badly beaten, to the extent that for a long time I was afraid of him whenever I saw him. I had 1 bun left for him. Arrived at school. I said to him, "I'll bring you breakfast tomorrow, can you give me a ride again?" I thought Jean would definitely reject me. After all, how can the breakfast made by our nanny compare to that made by his mother? "I'll bring you breakfast tomorrow, don't eat what your nanny cooks. You can use my car as you like, but the passenger seat will always be reserved for you." I was surprised and thanked him politely but distantly. Jean and I are not from the same hospital. After dropping me off, he drove away. I thought about it and sent him a red envelope. "This is 1 month's ride fee." He returned it to me in seconds. "Don't think of me as a poor guy. I don't mind your family being poor either. You can sit back and relax." He really has the right to complain about my family being poor. His family is really rich. His mother is always among the top of the Forbes rankings. Our family is at the bottom of the list. We rich people also have a chain of contempt. 3. Before I even entered the classroom, I heard my classmates saying that the eldest daughter of the Sanchez family had come to our school. The Sanchez family is really generous. They donated a building. Reincarnation is indeed a technical job. She is really good at reincarnation and went straight to the top wealthy Sanchez family. She was brought here by Lloyd himself. In the past, Betty was always Lloyd's passenger seat. It seems that she is definitely the eldest daughter of the Sanchez family. I've never heard of Betty's family situation. I guess they must be very poor. I heard that Betty is actually the daughter of Lloyd's nanny. As soon as I entered the classroom, I saw Jean surrounded by classmates. She sat in my usual seat. There are no fixed seats in the school classrooms. It's first come, first served. But even so, there are unwritten rules after you get used to sitting there. Instead, everyone has a tacitly agreed fixed seat. As soon as they saw me come in, all the students looked at me. Everyone seemed to be looking forward to the show. My best friend Martha waved to me and asked me to sit in the empty seat next to her. I walked over to Jean, still not saying anything. She stood up hastily and said, "Sister Betty, I'm sorry, did I take your seat? I'll give it to you right away, don't be angry." As she said this, she stood up in a panic, then accidentally tripped and fell to the ground. "Betty, what are you doing again?" Lloyd came in from the door, rushed to Jean and pushed me. "Do you have to bully Jean? It's just a seat. Why do you have to do that? Are seats in the classroom fixed? Your name isn't written on it. Why are you so petty?" At this time, the counselor came in, and seeing such a heavy scene, he quietly left again. Jean was helped up by Lloyd. "Sister Betty didn't mean it. Don't be angry, brother. I didn't know this was Sister Betty's position when I first came here. I will remember it next time." I sneered and said, "Did anyone tell you that this is my position?" My best friend Martha stood up and said, "No one told her. No one told you this is my seat, so why do you think this is my seat? There are no fixed seats in the classroom, so who are you acting for?" Jean's face flushed with nervousness. "I just thought that since Lloyd is sitting here, you must be sitting next to him, so this must be your seat." "Oh, so you knew you sat there on purpose, but just now you said you didn't know this was my seat. You were waiting for Lloyd to come in and put on a big show for him. Jean, why didn't I realize before that you are a plastic bag that can hold so much?" I almost made Jean cry. Lloyd was heartbroken and didn't care what happened. He helped her sit back in the same position. "That's enough, Betty. It's just one seat, aren't you done yet? Just sit here today. I'll see who dares to make you stand up." After Lloyd said that, other students also said indignantly, "A nanny's daughter is so arrogant. It's all because of Lloyd." That's right. Without Lloyd, she, a nanny's daughter, is nothing. The nanny's daughter is trying to compete with Miss Sanchez for a seat. She really overestimates her own abilities. I don't know who said it, but Jean's expression became even uglier. But it was obvious that my classmates were mocking me as the nanny's daughter. I turned my head and asked Lloyd loudly, "Lloyd, who do you think is the nanny's daughter?" Jean's shoulders began to tremble. Everyone looked at them in confusion, then whispered, "What do you mean? Could it be that Jean is the nanny's daughter? Otherwise, why would Betty be so arrogant?" It's hard to say. Let's listen to what Lloyd says. What he says must be true. Lloyd glared at me, then suddenly stood up and pulled Jean out of the classroom. I thought he would lie and say that I was the nanny's daughter. I didn't expect to go out directly. That's really boring. 4. Lloyd's car was parked in front of the library after school. Jean is borrowing books inside. Martha and I were just about to go in to return a book. Lloyd saw me and came up to me and asked, "Betty, why didn't you accept the birthday red envelope yesterday?" I checked my phone and found that the transfer had been confiscated and automatically returned when it expired. I didn't want to bother with him at all and just walked away. But he stopped me and said, "What's wrong? Why are you ignoring me? Are you still angry about the seat issue today?" Jean just came to school, and I just took care of her a little. She is different from us. We have been favored since we were young. She has suffered so much, and she will be happy for a long time if I give her a little sweetness. Let's eat together later. I'll take you and Jean to a popular online restaurant. It's newly opened and I heard it tastes great. I scoffed. Take me with her, are you crazy? What's wrong with me? Let's eat together and take her with us. We can't finish the food anyway. Isn't it always like this? Take her along? Are you sure? I think I'm the one who takes her along. Not long after I entered the library, I heard the roar of Lloyd's sports car. He took Jean away. I also received a WeChat message from Lloyd. Betty, Jean has a stomachache. I'll take her to dinner first. After dinner, I'll come to your house to find you. Wait for me. By the way, take a taxi back and transfer 10,000. I was so speechless that I threw my phone on the table and didn't want to talk at all. Martha asked me what happened between me and Lloyd. How would I know what happened? Have you broken up with Lloyd? I thought he was going to propose to you. Didn't he say he had prepared a ring for you on your birthday? Haha, he gave the engagement ring to someone else as a birthday present. I remembered what Lloyd said to Jean last night. He said he had never had a formal relationship with me. Lloyd and I have never been together. We are just childhood sweethearts. He is not actually my boyfriend. Martha stared at me in astonishment, thinking she had heard it wrongly. Are you guys still boyfriend and girlfriend? Before your birthday, everyone was saying that he had prepared a ring to propose to you. A cold gaze suddenly stared at my back, making my scalp tingle. I turned around and saw Lloyd and Jean. Jean left her bag in the library, so they came back to get it. Lloyd clenched his fists and stared at me with gritted teeth. His lips were almost bleeding. He turned around and took Jean's hand, still interlocking their fingers. Jean, let's go. 5. Lloyd and I started a cold war and neither of us talked to each other. Every day Lloyd takes Jean to school. And I took Jean's car to school. Because I always go to school on time, I am always the last one to arrive. When Jean takes me to the school, there are basically no people on the road. After sending me off, Jean went back to his own hospital. There was a school basketball game today. Business school versus law school. Jean asked me to help deliver a few cases of water to his team. I agreed. After all, I've been using his car for so long and he also prepares breakfast for me every day. It's time to repay him. When Martha and I dragged the cart over there, Lloyd's teammates whistled at me. Sister-in-law is so considerate. She knew we were short of water and immediately brought us some water. Thank you, sister-in-law. Lloyd saw me and raised his eyebrows proudly. Drink as much as you want, brothers. I'll ask her to buy more after you finish drinking. Jean was there too. She only brought water for Lloyd to drink. Holding the water cup, she felt awkward and at a loss. She had been with Lloyd for so long, and his brothers never called her sister-in-law. Why is it that as soon as I arrive, this group of people start calling me sister-in-law? Lloyd took Jean's glass of water, gulped down half of it, and then walked over to me. Don't you hate watching basketball? How did you know there was a basketball game today? Can we finish all the water? Lloyd leaned over, opened the box, took out some water and prepared to share it with his teammates. Martha hesitantly reached out her hand to stop him, then looked at me and retracted her hand. I grabbed the water bottle from Lloyd's hand first. Lloyd looked at me and smiled proudly. You came all the way to give me water to please me. I know you are trying to give me a way out. I understand. You should not do such rough work as distributing water. Jean, come and distribute some water to my brothers. Lloyd's teammates were waiting on the side, still saying that sister-in-law is the best. Jean looked unhappy, so she was the only one who could do this kind of rough work? She bit her lip and walked over reluctantly. I took the water back from Lloyd and said, Isn't this water for you? Didn't you prepare it? Lloyd looked at me, mouth half open in disbelief. Don't be ridiculous, Betty. You are from our business school. If you don't prepare for us, are you going to prepare for our opponents in the school? Well, we've been in a cold war for so long, it's time to reconcile. Although I don't know where I did wrong, I apologize to you. Although some of the things you said made me angry, I forgive you. Lloyd had just finished speaking when Jean came with his teammates. He walked up to me and asked, Betty, is this water for us? When Jean called me Betty, I was stunned. Yes, I bought the remaining boxes from the store. Do you think it's enough? If not, I'll order takeout. Jean raised his hand and touched my head. That's enough for 2 games. Get yourselves some water, guys. Jean's teammates lined up to get water, and each took a bottle. Say, "Thank you, sister-in-law. Thank you, sister-in-law." I felt a little embarrassed and thought I should say something. Lloyd's teammates looked at each other in bewilderment when they saw this scene. Lloyd looked so unhappy that he committed fouls repeatedly in the following game and was finally kicked off the court. Without a doubt, Gene and his team won. I also won a prize, a pink pig wearing swimming goggles. Under the gaze of everyone present, Gene ran up to me, panting, and gave me the piglet he had won. "Here, take it." I looked at him and wanted to say I didn't want it, but my body is very honest and I accepted it directly. He looked at me and grinned, ruffling my hair again. "Does this pig look like you? You look like a little idiot. You look easy to bully." I was speechless. He had wanted to beat me since we were little. Even when he grew up, he still wanted to bully me. "I have a dinner party today and will be home late. I may not be able to take you home. How about you join me for dinner?" Under Lloyd's burning gaze, I responded almost vindicatively, "Okay." Lloyd kicked over the referee's table and yelled, "Fuck." Then he left angrily. 6. When Gene took me home that night, Lloyd was standing at the door. Lloyd came up and pulled me out of the car. "I'll send Betty off myself from now on. No need to bother you." I tried to shake Lloyd off but failed. "Let go, you're hurting me." Lloyd still didn't let go. "You've been with him every day these days? He beat us both so badly when we were kids, have you forgotten? He knocked out 2 of my teeth, and he beat you so hard that you cried for your parents. Have you forgotten such a huge hatred?" Gene didn't even open the car door. He just stretched his legs from the driver's seat to the passenger seat. Kicked Lloyd away. "You didn't forget, did you? I'll beat you up again so you'll remember this lesson." He grabbed Lloyd by the collar and punched him. Lloyd fought back and kicked back. I stood aside and said anxiously, "Stop fighting. Stop fighting." The idle drama I watched when I was a child was actually being replayed before our eyes. Damn it. I'm really annoyed by 2 men fighting in front of me, so childish. Lloyd couldn't beat Gene and was almost pinned to the ground. I stepped forward and grabbed Gene's hand, pleading with my eyes wide open. "I'm going to stop you this time. You won't hit me, right? If you hit him, he won't be able to hit me." Gene smiled. "When I was a kid, I would also go up to him and stop him." Gene punched me in the face and said, "It's just a simple thing." I still remember it clearly. I didn't dare to try to stop the fight because I was afraid of being beaten by him. "Listen to Betty, if you say you don't want to hit me, then I won't." This time he withdrew his hand and rubbed my hair. I took Lloyd home. When Lloyd's mother saw his expression, tears welled up in her eyes and she was so angry that she wanted to find the person who beat him to argue with him. I said, "Auntie, it was Gene who hit me." Lloyd's mother had tears in her eyes and slapped him on the face. "Why did you mess with him? Your father's company is currently negotiating a partnership with the Sanchez family. You better not ruin it. If a tooth is knocked out, you have to swallow it." I saw the reality version again. Gene sent me a WeChat message in the evening. "I beat your childhood sweetheart. Do you feel bad?" I didn't reply to him. The next day, my father asked me to take Gene out with me. He said, "This area is not safe right now. Lloyd was beaten last night and the murderer hasn't been found yet. Betty, you and Gene should also be careful." Of course, Gene knew who beat Lloyd. She bit her lip but didn't dare to say anything. Gene arrived early today and parked his car in front of Lloyd. When he saw me approaching, he opened the car door with a smile. "Your Highness, please get in the car." He bowed and made the gesture of a knight. When Gene reached him, she stopped, looked up at him and pouted, looking very pitiful and cute. "Hello, Master E. Get out of the way." Gene pushed her away impatiently. Gene stumbled and Lloyd just got out of the car and supported her arm. Lloyd looked at Gene and yelled, "What are you doing? Are you addicted to hitting people? Did Gene piss you off? You pushed her." "Because I don't like flowers." Gene didn't take the flowers. "You can't see such a big white lotus, you are blind." Gene's face turned red and she was about to cry. I stood aside and burst out laughing. Just wanted to get in the car. Lloyd grabbed my wrist and said, "Betty, I will take you to school from now on. Gene, you will sit in the back seat from now on, and Betty will sit in the passenger seat." I laughed. "Do you think I care so much about your co-pilot? Isn't it?" You think I care about your passenger seat and you let Jean sit there, so you know what makes me angry, but you still make me angry. Lloyd was speechless for a moment. 7. Jean and I went to have breakfast first. It was in front of a street vendor. There are several low tables next to the stall. Boss, give me 2. He didn't say 2 copies. Okay. It's been a while since you came, young man. The boss brought 2 bowls of tofu pudding, 2 fried dough sticks, and 2 egg pancakes. Oops, I forgot to mention. Don't put green onions in this omelet. Okay, I'll make it again. What, your girlfriend doesn't eat onions? Jean raised an eyebrow and smiled. I wanted to tell my boss that I wasn't his girlfriend, but I swallowed the words back when they came to my lips. How do you know I don't eat onions? I know a lot. Try it. Their tofu pudding is even better than the buns my mom makes. So highly rated? I know very well the position of Jean's mother in his heart. If the buns are better than his mother's, they must be very fragrant. I ate it and thought it was pretty average. But he ate it with gusto. This child has never eaten well. I decided to treat him to a big meal at noon. Would you like to have lunch together? Jean thought he had misheard and was stunned for a long time. Really? On the way to school, Jean's lips were always raised. Suddenly he laughed out loud. Why are you laughing? Just now the boss said you were my girlfriend and you didn't deny it. I just don't want to embarrass you. Don't you men all want to save face? Whatever, I'm happy anyway. Looking at his smile, I couldn't help but smile too. Strangely enough, I'm not afraid of him anymore. When we arrived at the classroom, Lloyd immediately stood up from his seat and raised his hand high towards me. Betty, this way. Jean didn't sit next to him. It's almost full and there's no other space. I sat down next to him. Betty, why are you so late? Jean drives so slowly. Don't take his car next time. Take mine. From now on, I won't take Jean with me. I'll just take you alone. I'll take you to that new internet-famous restaurant for lunch. Okay? I replied while taking notes in class. I went to have breakfast with Jean. I have an appointment with him at noon. Lloyd stood up directly in class. All the students looked at him. The teacher was also stunned. You are dating Jean, right? Betty, how can you be so two-timing? Are you being kind to me? 8. I suddenly became a celebrity in the school. Because Lloyd said I was two-timing. People are talking about me in the school forum and major WeChat groups. Isn't she the nanny's daughter? She eats so well. She can eat 2 rich second generations in one go. 2 rich young men fall in love with Cinderella. What a clever trick this girl has. Sister, please publish a book. I will take out a loan to buy it. The above, your sister is a green tea bitch, have you learned it? Oh my god, isn't she Lloyd's girlfriend? She's actually Jean's girlfriend. What is Jean like about her? He's a brilliant man in the law school. In the last basketball game, Jean beat Lloyd so hard that he was furious. It turned out that they were fighting for his girlfriend. Is this girl's hair golden? Let 2 rich second generations fight over her. From her appearance, it's clear that she's not easy to deal with. She looks like a vixen. How can she be as pure as the eldest daughter of the Sanchez family? Didn't Lloyd get together with the eldest daughter of the Sanchez family a while ago? I thought he and Betty had broken up a long time ago. Rumors spread around the school, saying that I was the daughter of Lloyd's nanny, and that I was an ungrateful servant who dared to cheat on my master. They said I looked like someone who could seduce men, and that I wasn't as innocent as Jean. I thought this ridiculous rumor would soon dissipate, but it became more and more intense. Later, when I went to the cafeteria to eat, a classmate directly dumped the freshly served food on my head. Luckily, I dodged quickly and the food only fell on my clothes. Bah! How dare you cheat on Lloyd? You're just the daughter of a nanny, how dare you? The nanny's daughter is still thinking about Jean from our law school. Do you know who he is? He is the eldest son of the Sanchez family. Why don't you look in the mirror and take a good look at yourself? How dare you think about Jean? What the hell? Jean ran out from nowhere. Sister Betty is not that kind of person. You misunderstood her. She even stood in front of me. Miss Sanchez, you are too kind. She is the daughter of a nanny and she dares to steal your man. She also dares to steal your brother Jean. What a shameless thing. Stay away from her in the future, or she will cheapen you. It turned out that classmates at school had always thought that Jean was the eldest daughter of the Sanchez family and Jean's younger sister. Jean never explained. I looked at Jean with a half-smile. You said you are the eldest daughter of the Sanchez family? A girl with an afro pushed my shoulder and said, What else? Are you? Miss Sanchez is easy to talk to. We won't spoil you. You bitch, you think two rich second generations are fighting for you. You really think you are a big shot. Sisters, take her away. Don't touch Betty, please. Jean shouted, not stopping at all. I was dragged all the way to the bathroom by the group of women. Take off her clothes. Let her seduce the two most handsome men in school. Let her take a good look at me. Is she worthy of being the daughter of a nanny? 9. When Lloyd arrived, I was leaning against the smooth tile wall of the bathroom, playing with my phone. Betty, I'm so glad you're okay. He came up to me and hugged me. I'm sorry, I was wrong, let's make peace, okay? Betty, I love you, I really love you. Reconcile? Only after being together can it be called reconciliation. Have we ever been together officially? If we haven't been together, how can you say that I'm cheating? Lloyd froze. We have been childhood sweethearts and have always done things that couples do, but we haven't officially proposed it. How can it not be considered a relationship? Oh, really? Then what did you tell Jean on my birthday? Who said Betty was my girlfriend? We were never officially dating. Wasn't that what you said? You even gave her the ring you originally gave me as a birthday present. You heard it all. I was just trying to coax her. I just felt sorry for her. She was the daughter of your nanny. She was alone on her birthday. I just felt sorry for her. How could I possibly like her? Betty, you are the eldest daughter of the Yi family, and I am the eldest son of the Chung family. We are childhood sweethearts, and we are happiest when we are together. Lloyd was in the ladies' room, half kneeling in front of me. He pulled out a pigeon egg-shaped diamond ring from his pocket. Betty, I love you, will you marry me? On my birthday, I ate the entire 3-tier cake just to find this engagement ring. The night before my birthday, I heard that Lloyd bought a diamond ring and wanted to propose to me, and I was so excited that I couldn't sleep the whole night. The greater the expectations, the greater the disappointment. He gave me a false hope. No, I don't love you anymore. Lloyd, I take back all my love for you. Lloyd knelt stiffly on the ground, speechless for a moment, yet anxious enough to cry. At this time, a voice came from the toilet cubicle. Woo! I kicked the toilet door open. Those girls who wanted to bully me before were holding Jean down with bruises on their faces. I let them press it. They were not allowed to make any sound. I will beat up anyone who dares to speak out. Although they are young, they are actually bullying girls in school. This is not the first time that these people have bullied girls in school. Jean! Lloyd was obviously distressed and asked me in shock. Betty, how could you bully your classmates? I sneered and said, bullying has only started in school since Jean came. Ask them who their boss is. Their eldest is Jean. It was Jean who amplified the rumor and spread it continuously. She made my classmates mistakenly believe that I was the daughter of Lloyd's nanny, and also made my classmates mistakenly believe that she was the eldest daughter of the Sanchez family. When I walked out of the bathroom, I saw Jean leaning against the door of the women's bathroom. He stopped all the girls who wanted to come in to use the bathroom. I figured you'd want to deal with something quietly. I need to make a statement, Jean is not my sister at all. I said, no need, it's a small matter, I can handle it. I didn't deal with the rumors before just because I thought it was unnecessary. Jean looked me up and down. When did you start learning Taekwondo? It turned out that Jean had been there for a long time. When he came to rescue me, he found that I had easily thrown the person over my shoulder into the toilet. When you beat me and Lloyd when we were kids, I wanted to challenge you to a duel to avenge Lloyd and me. Then why didn't you come to see me? I didn't answer Jean. I looked at him, laughed, and walked away. Jean followed in big strides. Lloyd proposed to you, how could you refuse? Don't you like him very much? I beat him up when we were kids, so you really fight me. You can take back your liking, and if you do, you won't like it anymore. I like you, Betty. Jean confessed suddenly. Caught me off guard. Oh, why are you reacting like that? I just retracted a like, I can't send it out so quickly. Jean said, it's okay. I've waited for so many years, so I'm not afraid of waiting a few more years. 10. Jean was expelled from school because she used her status as the eldest daughter of the Sanchez family to bully many girls who were interested in Lloyd. Lloyd never expected that her innocent little white flower could be so vicious. After my father found out, he thought about it all night and finally decided to give Jean and her daughter a large sum of money to let them leave the Yi family. Just consider it as repaying the favor of saving my life. I never heard from Jean again. Lloyd became withdrawn and quiet, and suffered from depression. The Chung family was afraid that his condition would worsen, so they sent him abroad. The day Lloyd left, he asked me if I could give him a final ride. I refused and he gave up. I attended classes as usual every day, and the rumors in the school were cleared up. It turns out that I am the eldest daughter and Jean is the nanny's daughter. My classmates' view of me has also changed. They used to think that I was not worthy of being with anyone and looked at me like a slut. Now when they look at me, they are full of envy and hate themselves for not being able to be like me. I entered Jean's house for the first time. Even though we lived so close, I never went into the Sanchez home. Jean's mother was also at home, and when she saw me, her eyes were full of surprise. "Betty, thank you for being with Jean since he was a child." Auntie, do you know me? Logically, Jean's mother is away from home all year round and shouldn't know me. I have hardly ever seen her. Even when Jean beat me when I was a kid, it was Jean's mother's assistant who handled it. What are you talking about? How could I not recognize you? When Jean was a kid, he would always call me and tell me that you played with him. It turned out that in order to reassure his mother, Jean had been lying to her that he had good friends who often accompanied him. They go to school together, eat together, go home together, play together, and do homework together. This friend, he said his name was Betty. But I never accompanied him. I just ran into him and passed him by every time I accompanied Lloyd. Every time we encountered this, I would pull Lloyd and run away, for fear that Jean would hit me. Only when Lloyd is not around, Jean will come running to my side and walk with me. "Lloyd is not at your house today, so I will be merciful and accompany you." He calls this companionship? I suddenly remembered that from childhood to adulthood, it seemed true that I could see Jean every day. But he was always alone. Many times I encountered hooligans who stopped me and bullied me. But Jean always showed up quickly and scared them away. It also scared me away. "Accompany me unilaterally." Jean lowered his head and smiled foolishly. I couldn't help but feel tears welling up in my eyes. I reached out and took Jean's hand, interlocked our fingers, and showed it to Jean's mother. "Auntie, I will accompany Jean every day from now on, until we grow old." Jean was stunned, and when he looked up at me, there were billions of stars in his eyes. End of article.